We know Canadian cereals. Not those cereals, these cereals. The kind millions of people rely on for their business, for their livelihood, for every meal of the day. We're proud because Canadian farmers grow the highest quality wheat, barley, and oats in the world.
And we're not just saying that.
We have the data that proves it, because that's what the world needs. Information from experts who know precisely how to turn this into this, and this, and this. It's why we nurture relationships before the seed is even planted. Because when we succeed, Canadian farmers succeed. So do developers, processors, customers, and exporters in over 80 countries all over the globe. So let's keep growing. The best in the world is only getting better.
I'm Leif Carlson, Vice President of Markets and Trade at Cereals Canada, and I'd like to welcome you to the 2026 Wheat Growing Season webinar. Today, I'll be joined by two Canadian farmers who will provide an update on how the 2026 Canadian wheat crop is progressing. As well, we'll hear from our Market and Trade Specialist, Matilda van Achelen, who will present the latest market update and introduce the Growing Season Progress Report. If you have any questions about the information presented in this webinar or about the services provided by Cereals Canada, please send them to us at info@cerealscanada.ca. Someone from our team will respond within 5 business days. If you are new to our organization, we are the National Not-for-Profit Industry Association representing the Canadian cereal grains value chain. We're dedicated to supporting the value chain, including farmers, exporters, developers, processors, and our customers around the world, with a focus on trade, science, and sustainability. We value relationships and work with customers, government, and other stakeholders to provide timely, expert technical information and deliver a best-in-class customer experience, which you're going to hear about today. Welcome to our webinar. Now, let's learn about the Growing Season Progress Report and take a look at how the 2026 Canadian wheat crop is progressing across the Prairie Provinces.
Hi, my name is Matilda van Achelen, and I'm a Market and Trade Specialist at Cereals Canada. This year, Canadian farmers are expected to grow 18.8 million acres of spring wheat. Throughout the 2026 growing season, we will be working with the provincial governments of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba to gather information on how the crop in each province is developing. We compile and share that information on the Cereals Canada website with updates every other week until harvest is complete. The Growing Season Progress Report provides a snapshot of how the Western Canadian wheat crop is progressing. It provides information on growing conditions by province, including weather conditions, growing stages, and soil moisture levels. It also includes regional crop ratings and progress maps. If you miss a report, simply move the timeline slider to the left to view an earlier update. You can also use the interactive timeline tool to access historical crop and harvest data all the way back to 2020. Despite some delays in seeding due to weather, it looks like the 2026 Western Canadian spring wheat crop is off to a good start. Over the next few months, we will be closely following the crop's progression. And I invite you to follow along by visiting the Growing Season Progress Report at cerealscanada.ca.
Thank you for the overview presentation, Leif. As Leif mentioned, I will tell you more about how the Canadian wheat crop is progressing. We will look at seeding and early development of spring wheat in Western Canada and winter wheat in Eastern Canada. Let's start with an overview of the growing regions for wheat in Canada. The gold areas on the map represent non-durum wheat, also known as common wheat, and the blue area represents durum wheat. In Canada, non-durum wheat is grown from coast to coast. Most of our spring wheat is grown in the 3 prairie provinces, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. This is primarily hard red spring wheat. Winter wheat is the main type of wheat grown in eastern Canada, in Ontario, Quebec, and the Atlantic region. Southern Ontario is the largest production area for soft red winter wheat. While the area for common wheat stretches from coast to coast, the production of durum wheat is concentrated in southern Alberta and Saskatchewan. This map shows how important Western Canada is for the production of non-durum wheat. 31% is grown in Alberta, 38% in Saskatchewan, and 18% in Manitoba. This is mostly spring wheat. 13% of non-durum wheat is grown in eastern Canada. This is mostly winter wheat. Nearly all of the durum wheat produced in Canada is grown in Alberta and Saskatchewan. Alberta produces 21% of Canadian durum, and 78% is grown in Saskatchewan. This is what the breakdown of wheat grown in Canada looked like last year. In 2025, nearly 3/4 of the wheat produced in Canada was spring wheat. Durum wheat represented 18% of the wheat production, and winter wheat accounted for 9% of the wheat crop. Now let's have a closer look at the growing season for spring wheat and durum. In Western Canada, seeding takes place in May, after the snow has melted. Seeding is typically complete by mid-June. The crop then develops during the summer months. Harvest can start as early as mid-August, depending on weather conditions. At this point, seeding of spring wheat is complete across the prairies. Seeding progressed at a slower than average pace because of cool and wet weather conditions at the start of the growing season. We can see this clearly on this map of the temperatures across the prairies from the end of April to mid-May compared to normal values. Most areas on the map are blue, indicating lower than average temperatures. Because of the cooler weather, farmers in many areas had to wait longer than usual for the snow to melt and for their fields to dry up enough to support seeding equipment. The remainder of the planting season brought variable precipitation to the prairies. Between mid-May and mid-June, some areas received significantly more rainfall than average, leading to localized excess moisture conditions. Other areas benefited from moderate rainfall that replenished soil moisture. Some areas experienced lower than average precipitation, most notably in northern Saskatchewan and the Peace region in northwest Alberta. At the time of recording, many farmers are hoping for some warm weather to support the development of the crop, as well as timely rainfall throughout the summer. In Canada, the vast majority of wheat is grown without irrigation and relies on rainfall. That being said, even smaller amounts of rainfall received at the right times can set the crop up for success, thanks to improvements in crop genetics and agricultural practices. June and July are important months for crop development. At Cereals Canada, we will be watching the weather closely in the weeks ahead. Now, let's shift our attention to the growing areas for winter wheat in eastern Canada. Winter wheat is typically planted in the early fall. The crop becomes established during the fall and then goes into dormancy during the winter months. The crop comes out of dormancy in the spring and grows and matures between April and June. June is when pollination and grain fill take place. Most of the harvest typically takes place in July into August. Throughout this past spring, eastern Canada has received timely rains and cooler temperatures that have supported the development of the winter wheat crop after coming out of dormancy. In recent weeks, leading up to the harvest season for winter wheat, temperatures across eastern Canada were close to average. The combination of moderate temperatures and timely rainfall provided favorable growing conditions for the later stages of grain fill. At the time of recording, we are anticipating warmer temperatures at the start of July. This will help the crop to ripen quickly. Harvest is expected to start in the next couple of weeks. The crop is in good condition as farmers are approaching harvest. So far, we have seen that seeding of spring wheat in Western Canada is complete, and the winter wheat crop in Eastern Canada is in good condition leading up to harvest. Now let's look at what we know about the seeded area for wheat across Canada. Statistics Canada, our national statistics agency, recently released an estimate of this year's seeded area by crop. Typically, we see some fluctuation year over year in the area seeded to our main field crops. This is because most farmers grow different crops in rotations to support soil health and help manage the risk of pests and diseases. In a typical Western Canadian crop rotation, a field that is growing wheat one year might grow canola the next year and pulses the following year. Despite some fluctuation in the seeded area each year, we see that wheat is consistently the largest field crop grown in Canada. This reflects a strong ongoing demand for Canadian wheat in our domestic market and among our customers around the world. This year, the seeded area for non-durum wheat is estimated at 8 million hectares. The area seeded to durum wheat is estimated at 2.4 million hectares. We also have an early forecast available for this year's wheat production. This forecast was developed by the Cereals Canada team based on the expectations for seeded area that we saw in the last slide, as well as the most recent yield forecast by Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, which is our National Department of Agriculture. Based on this forecast, we are expecting a 17% decrease in wheat production this year. We should keep in mind that last year was a record year for Canadian wheat production with very strong yields. At this point in the season, the production forecast assumes that growing conditions will be average and that yields will be in line with long-term trends. This would bring total wheat production to 33.1 million tons, which is lower than last year but close to the 5-year average. The production of non-durum wheat is forecast at 27.8 million tons. Durum production is forecast at 5.3 million tons. With seeding complete across Western Canada, we have entered the key stages of crop development. Over the next few months, we will be keeping a close eye on the weather and the quality of the spring wheat crop. We want you to have the most up-to-date information too. From now until the end of harvest, you can go to our Cereals Canada website to follow along with our growing season progress report. Every other week during the growing season, we publish a summary of how the spring wheat crop is progressing across the prairies. We work with the provincial governments of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta to gather the latest information on seeding progress, crop condition ratings, soil moisture, weather, and eventually harvest progress. We encourage you to follow along with us in the next few months to track the development of the crop. Thank you for your attention, and back to you, Leif.
A lot goes into growing the best for the world. When it comes to Canadian wheat, it starts with a commitment to quality, latest technology, and generations of know-how. Here in the Canadian West, dedicated farmers throughout Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba sustainably grow the pride of the prairies: Canada Western Red Spring and Canada Prairie Spring Red. It
It begins with choosing the best disease-resistant seed and then bringing science and experience to every stage of growth. This helps to ensure Canada's crop meets the world's expectations for quality and consistency year after year. Communicating that quality to the world is the job of the Cereals Canada experts who will mill, analyze, bake, and assess the wheat at every harvest and through the year. Canada Western Red Spring, or CWRS, is a sought-after hard wheat with high protein content and high protein quality, making it an excellent choice for various end products including high-volume pan breads, hearth breads, and noodles. Known around the world as a reliable improver wheat, CWRS can be milled with lower quality wheats to improve the quality of flour and enhance the characteristics of baked goods. Canada Prairie Spring Red, or CPSR, has a high milling yield and bright white flour. Its medium soft kernel makes it ideal for pan breads, flatbreads, crackers, and noodles. Grown throughout the West, Canada Western Red Spring is Canada's largest wheat class, accounting for 80% of Canada's wheat exports. For generations, farming families across the prairies have proudly grown their best for the world. Canada Western Red Spring and Canada Prairie Spring Red. You can see and taste the quality in every grain.
Thank you, Matilda. As the leading voice in Canadian cereals, we are experts in understanding Canadian wheat and supporting both our domestic and global customers. We also work closely with farmers across Canada who are dedicated to upholding our reputation for consistent, high-quality cereal grains. Today, we're joined by two of those farmers who grow wheat in Saskatchewan and Ontario. They'll share insights into their operations and highlight the similarities and differences of farming in Eastern and Western Canada. It's my pleasure today to welcome Lesley Kelly and Josh Boersen to this webinar. Lesley, I'd like to welcome you. You're here today representing Western Canada in farming in Saskatchewan. Can you share with our viewers where your farm is located and a little bit about it? How long have you been farming?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I farm with my brother and my husband near Water, Saskatchewan. It's in between Regina and Saskatoon. And I'm born and raised on the farm, so farming has been part of my whole entire life. But I've been full-time on the farm for about 10 years now.
And for your farm, what do you grow on your farm?
On our farm, we grow lentils and canola and Canadian hard red spring wheat and also durum.
For you farming in central Saskatchewan, how do the soil and climate conditions around your farm contribute to the quality that you're able to produce?
Yeah, that's a great question. Where I'm located, it's really in the heart of the Canadian prairies, and our region is known for producing really good high quality wheat because of the combination of really good fertile soils, the long summer days that we have, and the relatively dry growing season. Our long daylight hours help drive our crop development. And while our climate can support really good protein levels and quality characteristics that our customers really expect from Canadian wheat, our soils have strong holding moisture. So we're able to take in a lot of moisture during the growing season, which is important to us because our rainfall can be quite variable.
No, it's as we're recording today, it's such a beautiful time in Canada with the long summer days and the late nights. Josh, welcome to you as well. Thanks for joining us from Ontario. Um, what part of the province do you farm in? And for your farm, how long have you been farming?
Well, thanks, Leif. It's good to be here. And I farm in southwestern Ontario, near a town called Stratford, but it's about halfway between London and Toronto, geographically. And I've been actively farming or actively engaged in the farm for close to 15 years. But this is the farm where I live now that I grew up on. So, close to 40 years, I guess, I've been involved in the farm, right, Leif? It's been a long apprenticeship program, let's say.
No, that's very true and so common with the family farms that we have in Canada. Josh, on your farm, what do you grow?
So predominantly we grow corn, soybeans, and winter wheat in rotation. But we also on our farm introduce a little bit of canola now, winter canola we are playing with, and some edible beans as well, depending on the market demands at the time. And the wheat that we grow for your customers would be Canadian Eastern soft red winter wheat is our predominant wheat here. There is a little bit of spring wheat grown in Eastern Ontario, but on our farm we stick with the CESRW.
Canada is a big country, and we are able to get a number of different types of wheat from that we're able to grow. For your farm and in your part of Canada, how do the soil and climate work for you?
Where we are, because we are sort of surrounded by the Great Lakes of Canada, we often get excessive amounts of moisture in some ways. So we, unlike the Western prairies, often have to deal with moving that moisture out of the field. So that can be a bit of a challenge at times. More lately, we've been dealing with that a little bit here now, but we get dry spells as well that we can that can be prolonged to dry things out. But our soils here are very variable. We don't have a lot of consistency within short distances. We can go from clay and loam to like a peaty black muck, and sort of everything in between with some sand soils mixed in there as well. So we deal with a lot of variable conditions, I suppose, but generally we are in a very highly productive region, at least especially where we farm. We are generally blessed with good weather and good growing conditions, and it's been good.
Well, it's really impressive the quality of the soil and the yields that farmers like yourself are able to get. And we've certainly talked about the different geography, but of course, one of the other main differences between a typical farmer growing wheat in Ontario and in Saskatchewan is when they're planted. And Josh, for the winter wheat that you grow, can you would have planted your crops in the fall, and they're quite well along now. Can you describe how the winter wheat growing conditions are in near where you farm?
Well, sure. Thanks, Leif. And you're right. Yes, we do plant in the fall. We try to plant about September or October of 2025 would have been when we established our wheat crop. It lays dormant through the winter and then breaks dormancy in the spring when we start to warm up. This year, we had quite a hard winter again in southern Ontario, and that led to a little bit more challenges as we broke that dormancy. And a wet spring actually sort of was probably the worst culprit for any damage to the wheat. So the wheats have been a little bit slower to grow and come along this year than maybe in prior years, but with a cooler spring season that we've had good, steady, consistent growth. And right now, as I look out the window, our winter wheat crop is almost fully mature now. We're into the final stages of grain fill, and then we'll progress towards harvest in the next few weeks here as things move along. If we get some more heat as we're maybe expected to, we might see that progress a little bit faster, but if it stays a little bit cooler, we'll see that sort of draw out a little bit more. But overall, I would say in the region, the winter wheat crop looks pretty good. But with this slower growth that we've experienced, I do expect to see some good quality in our wheat. we should be able to see good grain, good kernel size, good everything that a farmer is looking for and our customers are looking for in terms of quality, I think. Unless something happens between now and then, we're still not at the finish line, but it's looking pretty good.
Well, that's really great to hear, and we do hope you get that good finishing weather. Going back to Lesley in Saskatchewan, for you will be seeding in the spring, and I imagine it hasn't been terribly long since you finished seeding your spring wheat. Um, uh, and thinking about your seeding, well, not just the operations, but the planning process around how you made your decisions last winter. How do you do that? What varieties and crops? How do you go through the process of picking varieties and rotation when you're in your farm?
Yeah, you bet. It's such a great feeling when you're done seeding. And we just wrapped up a few weeks ago at the end of May. So that was a good check on our books. But yeah, seeding decisions, they start months before we get into the field, typically, a year prior. And for us, our decisions are made on, like, we look at crop rotation, our field history, market opportunities, disease resistance, maturity, standability, the yield potential, and also the quality characteristics. So there's lots of things that go into making our decisions. So for us this year, we're growing two CWRS varieties, and those are Starbuck and West King, and as well as Schrader Durham. So we selected Starbuck and West King because they offer a really good, strong yield potential. We've had success growing them in the past. They offer good agronomy performance, good quality characteristics, and Schrader Durham fits well within our rotation as well. And we grew it last year and had good success. So at the end of the day, for us, we're looking at varieties that can perform consistently. They perform well in our growing area, well in Saskatchewan with our growing conditions, and they help meet those quality expectations that our customers need and want.
Well, that's good to hear. We're really proud of the genetics that we have in Canada because that we are trying to do both, meet the quality requirements that our customers need while producing enough to continually contribute to food security in Canada and internationally. And I'm glad you've have that information and access to the seeds that you need. And also to sort of keep on this theme of decision making, when we talk with customers, we do get these questions around like, who tells Canadian farmers what to grow, and is it the government that controls this? And I guess I know that's not the case, but uh, Leslie, when you're for your farm, you have good access to options?
Yeah, and that's a great question because every country is different. But ultimately, I decide what to grow. And between my husband, my brother, and I, we make those decisions together based on market demand, our crop rotation, our profitability, risk management, and so many other factors. Our Canadian farmers operate in a market-driven system, so we're constantly paying attention to our customers and what the marketplace is telling us. So our government overall, they establish regulations around things like crop protection and food safety, but they don't tell me what to plant. Those decisions are made on our farm.
And Josh, for you, is it the same? You're farming on a different schedule for the calendar, but I imagine you're also looking at rotations and market conditions.
Well, absolutely. And Leslie really touched on basically all of the key factors that would drive our decisions as well. I like to say when the customer might say that they are actually who decide what we grow because the market would tell us, where we need to be. On our farm, we're always trying new varieties on an annual basis to improve our profitability, of course, but then in turn, it also matters that the quality's there that our customers demand. So we're always looking to improve those things to meet their needs.
Looking, ahead in I mean, I guess Josh, your crop's further ahead. How do you, as a farm manager, how are you looking at your crop as it's maturing? Are you adding extra inputs? Are you looking at yield improving yield potential or managing disease?
Well, I would say, Leif, that we do all of those things on an ongoing basis, right? And we try to balance our inputs against the weather and what we're seeing in the field on an ongoing basis. I would consult with an agronomist on a very regular basis, probably almost weekly at times, depending on the situation. But we are looking to have the least amount of impact on our crops and have the maximum amount of output on them, I guess, right? So on our farm, we're looking to maintain high quality plant health, all of those things that lead to a big crop. But we want to make sure that we're paying very close attention to what we're using and when, and following our integrated pest management practices, making sure that we don't do anything frivolous on our farm because we simply just can't afford to do that.
Well, that's very fair. You're business people, and managing your business in that best way. Lesley, for you looking ahead, will you be working with agronomists? Do you have a plan or an approach to how you'll be managing the crop this year?
Yeah, our agronomist is on speed dial. We talk to him quite frequently. It's just really nice to bounce ideas and problem solve with an extended farm team that's beyond the three of us. And for us, and just like what Josh stated, it's not just about chasing yield. We're making a lot of decisions on the farm in real time to not only maximize our yield potential, but also keep that really good high quality. So for us, our ultimate goal is to maximize profitability and sustainability on the farm, and that's balancing both yield and quality.
And thanks for sharing that. And I could say from the perspective that I have working with customers and with the partners in the supply chain from the farm forward, having that good quality and that careful management of the crop in the field puts Canadian grain in such a good starting position that we can keep that clean grain and that high quality as it moves from your farm to customer. So thank you so much for the work both of you do to protect quality, because it all starts with you. It also looking forward. This is once the seeds are in the ground, it's the opportunity is there, and it's an exciting thing to think about the crop maturing and getting ready for sale. Josh, you'll be harvesting first maybe farmers in your region will be starting in a month or so. How's the crop looking this year? Do you and your colleagues have a sense of what the yield and quality might look like?
I don't know that we would have, maybe a good handle on any realistic projections, but I would say right now we're looking at about what I would call an average crop of wheat, I guess. I don't think that there's a remarkable volume out there, any yield bin busters, as we would call them, but with that in turn usually leads to better quality wheat. If we don't have high yields, then usually we really preserve quality in our region, and I think that that could be true this year. I know we've been receiving very timely rains more recently to help finish that crop off. So I think what I see on our farm is I'm looking forward to a high quality crop of wheat, and then it just turns to management at that point on our part to make sure that we get it harvested, get it conditioned, and get it into storage in good quality. And we have some good plans around to do that. So I think we should be in store for that.
I'm really hoping that it plays out well. Lesley, for your crops have a longer way to go. We have had some dry years in Western Canada recently. How is the overall moisture situation looking for you?
Yeah, I'm excessively looking at all the weather apps right now because right now is such a critical time to establish the crop. So for us this spring, it started a little differently because we had a few spring snowstorms that delayed us, and it pushed seeding back slightly about a week. But fortunately, we have really good conditions. We were able to plant the crop under good moisture, and right now all of our wheat has emerged. It looks fantastic. And just this past weekend, we got about a half an inch, which will help the crop substantially. So we're really looking forward to maybe a couple more late June rains, which is really important as the crop is growing.
So you think you and your neighbors will be set up for a good crop if the weather is normal going forward?
If the weather holds out, I'm hoping for an average to above average with good quality.
Well, that's going to be good to see. We've had some really good production years in Canada, and we want to keep that trend going. You know, I really want to thank both of you for joining us today and sharing your insights and assessment with us. Yeah, our customers really value the knowledge that comes from our farmers, and allowing them to hear directly from you about your businesses, your production practices, and crop management is really wonderful. And you know, for our customers, for those of you who will be attending the new crop trade and technical seminars later this year, you may have the opportunity to meet Lesley or Josh. They'll both be traveling with the Cereals Canada team later in 2026 to present the crop report results and to potentially meet with you in market. But for right now, I'd like to thank our audience for joining us for this update on the 2026 Canadian wheat growing season. We always appreciate your interest in Canadian cereals, and we appreciate the opportunity to speak with you about Canadian production. As the season progresses, we at Cereals Canada are going to remain committed to providing timely, reliable information to support your understanding of how the Canadian crop is going. And we appreciate you joining us to learn more about it today. I encourage everyone watching today to bookmark the Growing Season Progress Report and visit it throughout the summer for updates on the growing season. You can find the report on our website at cerealscanada.ca. If you have any questions or would like to learn more about the information we presented to you today, don't hesitate to reach out to our team. We look forward to continuing this conversation. Thank you again for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.